Hey everyone, it's Talia here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are going to do this unicorn press-on nail set. More specifically, I'm going to show you how to work with some nail flakes. I'm also going to show you some tips on what to do if your stamping doesn't quite go as planned. And we are going to work with some watercolor as well. So let's get started. This customer chose Talia's choice, and kind of the only things that I know that she really likes are bling, pink, sparkles. I had posted a unicorn set on my social media that had some watercolor in it as well, so she said maybe that. And all I'm doing here is kind of laying out in my head where I'm thinking I want some different images. And the colors that I picked, I will definitely leave a detailed list in the description box below, but this one here is a Moon Glow from KoKo and Claire, and it is the pink one, and so it is a nice milky pink shade. It is a builder in a bottle consistency, so it does apply a little bit thicker, but you can paint on the builder in a bottles, and actually all of the colors that I'm using in this video are builders. So I'm just going to go down with 2 thin coats of that Moon Glow because I liked how light it was. And then this one here is Swedish Berries. Again, it is a builder consistency, however it has these reflective glitters in it, so depending on how the light hits it, it gets super sparkly, and you're going to see that at the end. This came out in a collection with this purple one as well, which is called Pop Rock Purple, and it does the exact same kind of effect when you shine light on it. So I'm going to go in with 1 thin coat on all of the nails here with those builders. I have those cured. I'm gonna take these flakes. These ones were from my nail shop, and there might still be some left on Lulu Beauty or Nail Techniques. If not, any sort of kind of duochrome flake like this works. I actually showed one that would work good in a recent haul video too. But I'm gonna put these just in the dispersion layer on that light pink shade, and I really like to do this on light colors because it adds a really nice pop to it. And then I'm gonna go in with my second coat on top of all of the nails here. Actually, we're gonna start with the purple, then we're gonna go in with the dark pink, and you can see just how much it deepens the color if you do 2 thin coats with this builder. So again, I have kind of touched on what builder gels are, but it essentially has an extra layer of strength in the gel polish here. So you could work with it just on its own. You wouldn't essentially need like a builder in a bottle clear coat with it. But I tend to reach for these for layering purposes, like you're going to see in this video. But more so, I love combining different layers with them because they tend to have a nice milky look to them. So you'll remember these light pink nails, we put some of those flakes down. Now I'm going to go in with a second coat of that Moon Glow on top of it, and it kind of tones down the flakes but also makes them kind of look a little bit hidden. I just love the effect that this can create. I was kind of thinking that this purple nail could use some flakes with it as well, so I found this dark purple looking one, and I just thought I would drop this one into the dispersion layer just to kind of see how it looks. So I prefer to do my stamping on top of a matte top coat. Now this is not essential, you do not have to do this. You could remove your dispersion layer on those gel polishes there and go right in with your stamping. A couple of reasons that I like to work on top of a matte surface though is I never know if I'm going to do chrome stamping or not, and chrome you have to do on top of a matte surface. And in this case where we're going to be working with some watercolor, you also have to watercolor on top of a matte surface. It will not stick to a shiny surface. So I like to just cover all my bases, go in with a matte, and then whatever I know I'm going to do for stamping, it works for. But also I find that the images kind of transfer a little bit nicer if you work on a matte or a finished file surface. When a customer orders a press-on nail set for me, I do include an extra 10 nail size to their nails as well. And usually it'll be in like a 1 color with some sort of nail art with it. In this case, I'm going to go down with that pink Swedish Berry color that you guys saw initially. And then after that's cured, I'm going to go in with some of these flakes. And I thought I'd play around with some different colors and see what kind of effect I could come up with. I thought I would try going back in with a coat of this Swedish Berries color, but you couldn't really see the flakes, they kind of disappeared. So I tried that out for a couple of nails, and then I thought I would try the Moon Glow color on top of it, and absolutely loved the effect that it gave. If you look close at the nail, it almost looks like the pink outlines the nail, and then the milky color just stays in the middle, and these flakes, it kind of toned down some of the purple effect that they had in them, which was a-okay with me because I thought it was kind of standing out a little bit on the nail. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to remove that Swedish Berries from the other nail because that look with the Moon Glow on top is what I decided I really liked. I just take a little bit of acetone to do this, or you can just do a little bit of alcohol as well. I was expecting the flakes to be removed with it as well, but they didn't come off, so I did not have to go back in and add any more flakes. And I'm just going to go in and add 1 little coat over top of all of these nails, and these are going to be her color that she can mix in with the sets. This works really well because I create nail sets that have a lot to to them. So if you're wanting to tone them down, you could easily just throw in an accent nail and kind of mix and match the different colors with the 20 different nails. These are the different shades of stamping polish from Clear Jelly Stamper that I pulled for this design. I tend to pick colors that match the backgrounds that I picked, as well as I throw in some lighter and darker shades. So you notice there are some lighter and darker purples here. I have sped up this process because I don't actually end up using any of these images on the nails. This part of the process of designing could arguably be one of the most important parts because what I'm doing here is I am playing around with different shades, seeing how they work together, seeing what layers on top of each other nicely, what doesn't, and ultimately what I want to do with the nail design. So I tried stamping the unicorn down here and I wasn't a big fan of how it turned out. I think it looked good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't really the vibe that I was kind of going for with the nail design here. So I do decide to remove this image. All I use to remove it is straight 100%, 99%, whatever it is, acetone, because I do find that that cleans the image off the best, especially when you're working with black. And I do use the acetone on my nail stamping plates when I'm cleaning them too. The only problem with using straight acetone is you can see they kind of make the plates cloudy. So if you do want to get away from that, after you have cleaned your plate up, you can go in with some of the Clear Jelly Stamper plate cleaner, because it does bring like a great shine back to your nails. So I'm continuing just trying different things out here. I wanted to try like a lighter shade layered on top of the dark purple, because sometimes that can make things pop. I ended up trying a white as well, and I just was not meeting the vibe that I was going for with this nails. I did remember that she liked the watercolor look that I had done on a different unicorn set, so I decided that that was the path that I was going to take, and now I was just trying to figure out what outline I wanted for my watercolor painting. I settled on black because I thought I'd be able to tie black in with some of the different florals that I was going to add to the look as well. I don't love doing black on top of light shades. I tend to reach for more of like a dark gray or a dark brown, but in this case I think that the watercolor was going to work with it, so I stuck with that. I did some unicorns down, and then I just did some little off-center florals. That way when I go in and do some florals on the pink nails here, which you're going to see, then I can tie all of the different shades together with the watercolors that I picked too. So when you are doing floral stamps, my best tip would be to work light to dark or dark to light. It just makes it look a little bit more realistic. But I decided to stamp an outline here with this kind of dark purple shade, and once I got it on the nail, again, I wasn't the biggest fan of how this turned out. So you can see kind of what it looks like here. It's just too faded, and I thought that the images could pop a little bit more. So again, I'm going to remove this, and we're going to do a little bit of a different look. I decided to start with my darkest purple first this time because I thought that it would pop a little bit more on top of the pink here, and I was right. Initially I was thinking, okay, this is going to look really good, so I'm going to go in with my light color here just to give a little bit more of a whimsical look on top of it. And then I decided, because I outlined that unicorn in black, I think the flowers being outlined in black would work really well for this design. I also prefer working with the Clear Jelly Stamper sticky black polish for everything. Like, I tend to not even reach for my normal black anymore because I find the sticky one to be a little bit more pigmented. It also doesn't dry as quick, so I find it a little bit easier to line up because you've got a little bit more time to play with it. And I did grab some other shades of purple too, and this time I'm going to go from light to dark, but because I'm going to be outlining it in the black, it's going to end up working out a little bit better here. And I decided to leave in all of this footage. Usually I cut out like the kind of messes and stuff that happen, or just kind of like the playing around and the wiping of the plate and all that, but I thought it would be good for you guys to see how that all kind of comes together. I did try to use the center stamp for this flower here, but I was having a lot of problems lifting the image because I'm using metallic polishes. The metallic stamping polishes do dry quicker than the other ones I find. So sometimes I have problems lifting those images, but it's okay because I can just go in here and just add a couple little dots and kind of make up for it. I'm just using the Clear Jelly Stamper stamping polish to do this and a little brush. I don't always add greenery to my florals, but I do probably 95% of the time, even if there's no green in my initial color palette, because green with florals just makes everything pop. I think it just ties the design together so well. I'm using two of my favorite green stamping polishes here. This is number 124, and I really like how this one is not too dark, not too light. It's a great metallic green color. And then for outlining, I'm using arguably my favorite stamping polish from Clear Jelly Stamper. Can I say that? that. I really like this stamping polish. It's number 139. It is a super dark green, almost looks black. Like when you're first putting it down on the plate there, it kind of looked like it was black, but it is a green. So it works so good for outlining florals. I use this color all the time. I actually need to add this to my list because I do need to get another one of them, but I really like how it looks when you pair it next to black because there is that slight variation of color difference. With this nail here, I'm going to show you what to do if you make a stamping error and you don't feel like removing it. So I'm going to stamp this floral down here, and you can see that the top of the flower there, I didn't get the full image, and instead of starting all over, I was thinking to myself, you know what, I can bet I can make this work. So I'm going to stamp down the little centerpiece, and then we're going to go on with the outline because I was really curious to see where I had messed up and how much of a difference I was going to have to make up for. Whenever I can, I try and work with whatever I have created for art. So here we're missing some purple. I was thinking, okay, can I go in and fill in some of the purple? But then I had the idea that instead of that, I'm going to remove the stamping polish, just the black outline here, and I can probably go in and add some greenery. So I tried using a Q-tip, and sometimes Q-tips work really good if you've got like a big space to remove, but if you've got a smaller space to remove, I like to suggest using these little lipstick applicators. You can get them on Amazon, and I just have the tips saturated with acetone, but I dip my thing in acetone and then I remove a little bit of it because I don't want it to be too runny, and I'm just going to remove that little black line there, and then we're going to go in and add some greenery to kind of cover up that mess. Taking again that 139 stamping polish, I'm just going to use the side of my stamper here, scraper, to remove the excess color. That way I'm not overlapping. Also, when it comes to greenery, I don't always use the greenery that matches the certain flower. I like mixing greenery from all over, and you can do that same tip if things are not working out. Just kind of remove like a stem if there's an excess stem or anything like that. We are going to move into the watercolor here now. So I use the Prima Marketing watercolors mostly. I have a variety in my collection, but this palette here is actually made up of, I think, 5 or 6 different Prima Marketing watercolors and an Artesia metallic watercolor too, and they're all linked in my Amazon storefront. But the reason that I really like these is because they are highly pigmented, so you really just do not need much when you are working on nails with them. But I find them super easy to blend out too. So if you're applying your watercolor here and it's looking really wet like this, what you can do is just dab your brush down on the paper, which you can see I have off to the side here, and that's just going to remove any of the excess water, and then you can lift up some of those droplets and it'll just leave the pigment behind. And I am working on top of a matte surface, then stamped with the nails, and then immediately in with my watercolor because I want the stamping polish to kind of act as like an outline for the watercolor. It's not going to seep too far out of the actual outline if you do it this way. If you were to say go in and do a matte top coat over top of your stamping after you've stamped it down and then go in with your watercolor, you can make it work, but you're not going to have the outlines keeping that watercolor in. For this design, I just pulled some different pinks and purple shades for the unicorn's mane here. I did want to go in and make the unicorn white, so I have this really pretty pearly white. It's from that Artesia painting watercolor set that I had mentioned initially, and it works really good for the unicorn here. So you just got to play around with any art medium that you're working with. So the stamping, how you guys saw that I was kind of playing around with it, you do the exact same thing with watercolor. The most important thing with watercolor is knowing your ratios of like your water to your pigment of your color. If it's too wet, then it's going to take a longer time to dry and it's going to bleed all over the rest of the nails. So that's why you see me often off to the side here wiping my brush, is because I'm noticing that I've got too much water in it, or I need to remove some of that pigment because I need to blend things out a little bit more. But the best thing to do, and the best tip that I can give you, is just kind of play around and don't be afraid to like take your color off if it is just not working and start all over. That is the best way that you learn how to work with any of your nail art mediums. When it comes to sealing over top of your stamping in your watercolor, the best advice I can give you is just make sure it is fully dry, because if it is at all wet, it is going to smudge the design. So I usually just kind of like let this sit, and then I'll go and do, say, my crystal nail here, which I'm going to show you, because by the time I'm done this crystal nail, the watercolor should be dry and I can top gloss the whole entire set. So this customer added some bling to their nail design that they wanted, and again, they weren't too particular on where I was going to put it, but I knew that they liked some of the bigger stones. So I decided decided to go in with a really big stone kind of in the center, and then I thought I would kind of surround it with some other crystals. And I have some of these little bead looking things with a flat back on them. You can get them from Nail Techniques, I believe carries them, and they come in a whole bunch of different colors, but they look really neat when you pair them with crystals here, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using the KoKo and Claire gem gel, which comes in a really cool applicator of a bottle. I do find with this gem gel though that you have to surround your crystals with top gloss really well after, or you might have some problems with them coming off. But other than that, as long as they're sealed in great, then this gem gel works good. And I like the applicator of the brush because I can put a little bit down where I need it. I didn't want to add any more bigger stones to fill in some of the gaps that I have surrounding the crystals here, so I went in with some crystal pixies. These work really well for just adding a little bit more texture to your crystal designs, and I really like putting crystals in the center like this because when you top coat, you're going to see all those flakes in that dimension that we had created. That is another thing that I find with the KoKo and Claire gem gel is that it is pretty runny, so your crystals tend to move, and right before you cure, you need to kind of push them back where you want them to be. Now it is the best time of the nail design, and that is top coating. You can see all of the different layers that we created right from the very beginning start to pop through, including those flakes, the sparkles in that moon glow color. You can see the metallics of the watercolor really just popping through. When we move on to the pink nails here, you can see the contrast between the purple and the pink reflective gels. I usually tend to top coat my crystal nails last because I know I'm going to need to go a little bit slower with them to make sure I'm not putting crystals or top coat all over my crystals. But I really like this part. This is the part that just makes all of those like issues that you had while you were creating the design worth it and all just come together. So I am just going to take the brush of my top coat here to surround the crystals, and then I do go in with a finer brush and just make sure that everything is surrounded really good and will stay in really well here. So this is how the design turned out. Definitely let me know what you guys think of this design and how you think it all came together. Did you learn anything with some good tips with stamping or flakes? I would love to have your guys' feedback. Make sure you're following me on all of my social media, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!